Back in early 2022, when I still wrote for How to Geek, Amazon sent me this to review, the Echo Show 15. And at the time, I called it a little too Amazon because, well, it had ads and so forth in it that you could kind of get rid of. With enough fiddling though, you could make this a good little picture display device that happened to take voice commands. And so I kept it around to stay familiar with Amazon's Echo lineup. But in recent times, Amazon has made changes to this that have completely ruined it and all of its displays for me. And I think it's finally time for me to unplug this forever. Now, if you're not familiar with Amazon display devices, well, where have you been for the last 10 years? Amazon did sort of lead the way in bringing voice assistant technology to every room of our house. I was an early adopter. I bought the first generation Echo, the great big huge tube looking device, and followed that up with a lot of Echo Dots as soon as Amazon launched them. I put them in every room of my house because they had smart home controls. I had already started smartifying my house, and the thing I was missing was convenient voice control wherever I went. And I couldn't figure out a way to do it until the Dot made it affordable to put a little voice speaker in every single room of my home, or at least enough rooms of my home. Over time, Google caught up and started releasing its own smart speakers. And then Amazon launched back with smart displays. Google's dabbled in smart displays, but to be honest, Amazon long ago left Google behind, and they've never really done a good job of playing catch up. You can buy Amazon smart displays in quite a few sizes and form factors. The Echo Show 10 has a neat ability to swivel to meet wherever you're at in the room, for instance. But there is a big difference between Amazon and Google's efforts. Okay, to be fair, there's more than one big difference. I find that Google is just better at voice commands in general, although Amazon has tried to play a lot of catch up. I also find it easier to set up third-party integrations with other smart devices on Google than it is on Amazon, which requires setting up weird skills that need to be maintained and often are out of date and don't work well. The only two areas that Amazon really outshines Google is in routines, which let me set up automations for my smart home, and displays. So that's why I've kept this plugged in all this time. I wanted Amazon's routines. Those are the things that turn off my lights on and on automatically when I walk into the room with a motion sensor or based on the time of day. And the displays just are better. Google has the Nest Hub Max, and I have one of those, but it's nowhere near as big or bold as some of Amazon's displays, and it's really old at this point, as evidenced by the fact that it's called the Nest Hub Max. That's a name that Google has been working hard to phase out, but it hasn't released new products like Amazon does. It hasn't updated its devices like Amazon does in the same cadence. But maybe that's a good thing, because as of late, this is really starting to anger me, because every time I walk by where I keep this in my kitchen, I find it displaying ads now. Full screen ads that take over my pictures for junk I really don't want. And this is Amazon's biggest problem. Amazon doesn't really see you as the true customer of its products. Even when you spend $300. Yes, this is a $300 display. And if you buy the bigger version, it's $500. You still aren't the customer. Now, sometimes Amazon's insistence on ads makes sense. They offer Kindles for a cheaper price, supported by ads, for instance. But in most cases, you can pay extra to remove those ads, and that makes things a little better. If you're willing to put up with them, great. If you're not, pay to get rid of them. But that is not an option here. In fact, Amazon actively fights my efforts to remove its many ads. In addition to its full screen ads that's been popping up as of late, Amazon likes to add features that are little more than more ads, and they turn them on by default. You can go in and turn them off, but I find every so often, Amazon turns them back on. That's just not cool. If I choose to turn a feature off, it should stay off until I decide to turn it back on. Think about it this way. The Echo Show 15 has a camera built in, but it also has a hardware privacy shutter I can close to turn the camera off. I like that. If I don't trust the camera, and I kinda don't, I should be able to turn it off. Imagine though if I slid that shut and came back later to find that Amazon had used some kind of software trick to open the camera back up. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? I feel the same way about turning on software features that I have chosen to turn off. A lot of the time, they're for things I don't even care about. I'm not that big into sports. Hey, don't leave. I mean, their sports are okay, they're not for me. And yet I keep getting sports scores for teams that aren't even in my area. It's not like it's my hometown team, it's someplace far off that I'm just not gonna pay attention even if I was seriously into sports. I've turned that off several times and it just keeps coming back. That's not even the worst of it. One night at about 10 p.m., this started playing a loud advertisement for the Beetlejuice musical. Now, I'd had to drive hours to see that musical, so I have no interest in it whatsoever. But even if you can set that to the side, it was 10 p.m. I have a young child who was in bed, and it might have woken them up if this had been any closer to his bedroom. That's not okay. There's a simple fundamental truth to the problem with this device. It is not advertised as an advertisement machine. Head to Amazon's site and read all about the Echo Show 15, and it will never tell you, we're going to display full-paged ads for toothpaste and deodorant and intimates at times. Nowhere in its advertising does it say, we're going to randomly blare out loud advertisements at wrong hours of the night. And yet that is what it does. It's an expensive device that gives Amazon ample opportunity to turn your house into an advertising center. And that's just not okay. I have the same complaint about expensive TVs. I have a $3,000 TV that displays full-page ads sometimes, and it infuriates me because at least with a cheap TV, the ads are helping subsidize the expensive technology for a cheaper cost. But at $3,000, that's just not okay. And at $300 for what's supposed to be a smart home display with the voice assistant integration, all these ads are just not okay. Amazon has become such an ad-central company that they can't resist cramming them down your throat and into your home anymore, and I'm just done. I think I might have to unplug this device and probably nearly every other Amazon device in the house too. I might leave an Echo Dot in place because at least that won't display ads and I'll still get access to Amazon's routines, which are far better than what Google offers through its smart speakers. Although maybe it's time that I start looking at another solution entirely, something that doesn't rely on the cloud, because ultimately that is another problem too. Anything that is cloud dependent can change or go away, as has been proven time and time again with companies like Wink and with Vector, which is why we had to go back and save the Vector robot, or Spotify's car thing, which is why we had to go back and hack the Spotify car thing. Amazon and Google are big enough that probably won't happen, but they could change their mind at any time and decide not to support these displays anymore, and that's not okay. I think it's time to start looking for a localized, better solution. And if I can't find one, maybe create one. And that's why I'd really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel so that as I look and find the better solution, I can tell you about it later. Until next time, bye!